Hi guys, welcome back to my Python for Beginners series. In the last video, I went through the basic data types that are available with Python. In this video, I'm going to be showcasing how you can use the various statements that are available in Python, um, and as well as looking at how iteration, so looping code that goes over and over, um, is used. So that being said, let's hop into the IDLE and do some code. Right, so the first thing we're going to be looking at is your input and output statements. So, as I showed you in the last video, the way to output to the screen is just by using this print statement. Basically, what this this is just a built-in function in Python. Um, that in the old versions of Python, so Python 2.7, was actually its own statement. It was just like that. So that's why we still call this a print statement, just because it used to be an actual statement. So what this does is it just outputs the string that's inside of here. There's a couple of things you can do with it, like you can, if I actually go back to the definition of it, see here you have a value, and then you have all your values, and then you have these keywords that you can use. So you can say what you want the separator, so between each of these, you want it to be. It defaults to a space. You can say what you want to leave at the end of the line. So let's just a backslash n in the default, where you want print output the text to. So this is what you can do if you just want to print to a file, like a log file, as compared to the standard output of the system, which is what sys.stdout is. And I'm not particularly sure what flush is. But I think that's just to remove white space at the end of the character, at the end of the string, maybe. Yeah. So we've got hello world. Next up, we've got our input statement. So this is quite often this is what you use more often than not to gain any user input at all. So if we just say imp, so short for input, is equal to input. Let's change the name. Name is equals input. What is your name? So this is what you do if you just wanted any standard input that wasn't that was text based. So what this is here is this is just it's almost like doing a print statement and then reading what comes after until they press the enter key, effectively, um, which is quite neat. Now, one thing you can do from this is that you can directly cast from the input. So, like I said in the last video, casting is where you take data from one data type and change it into another. So what you can do is you can do age equals int input, which converts an object into an integer if it can. And as you can see here, you can actually change its base, which is quite neat. Or you can say what base this input is going to be in. Obviously, we're going base 10, so decimal. Input, what is your age? Right. So that's your output, your input, and then you could do some more output. So you could say, I need to close that. Say print hello, you are this many years old. And then this is just going to be using the dot format thing that I showed you in the last video. Image. Okay, so if I was to run this now, let me quickly just pop somewhere, find somewhere to put it. Okay, and I'll just put double code dot play. So I'll run this now. It says hello world, which was our input from there. What is your name? Brad. What's your age? 20. It says hello Brad, you are 20 years old. So that was a nice, easy example of how you use it, and that is really the most you're going to use your input and output. So now, next thing you can do is this is called if and else statements. They're called conditional statements. So these basically take whatever you put inside of the if or the else or the elif and says if this thing is true, do the code that comes after it. So I'll give you an example. So if age is less than 18, but it's over the age, is greater than 8, greater than or equal to 18, then print you are of legal drinking age. Great. So, and then you can have an else print you aren't allowed to drink alcohol. So if I run this now, I'll just type in Brad 20. Hello Brad, you're 20 years old. You're of legal drinking age. If I was to try this again and say that I am Joe, I'm 17, going out for a night with the lads. Ah, hello Joe, you're 17 years old. You aren't allowed to drink alcohol. Um, so that's a really basic way of how you would use this. And you can also do more with this. So say I was to say less than 16, say um, you cannot smoke or drink alcohol. Just going on the same thing. Um, but then also between the age of 16 and 18, you are allowed to smoke, but you're not allowed to drink alcohol. So one thing you can do, you can say else if age is less than 18, then print you cannot drink, but you can smoke. Um, else print you can both drink and smoke. So if I was to write, so this basically says if you were younger than 16, you can't do this. Anything else means you're over the age of 16, right? So then if you're less than 18 years old, then you can't drink, but you can smoke. Now, if you're 18 or older, so if you're not under the age of 18, then you can do both. Now, this works. It's cool, but in fact, let me show you that it does work. So, Brad, let's put it between it. You can't drink, but you can't drink, but you can smoke. Um, Brad, 20, I can do both, and Joe is 15, so he can't do either. Close that. Now, Python has a wonderful thing where you can just put your else and if on the same line. That basically just says if this is the case, then do that. Otherwise, if this is the case, do this. Else, do this. It keeps your code nice and short. Another thing you can do, though it is bad practice, so it's just something you should bear in mind. If you're doing a really one-liner if statement, then you don't even have to bother about the new line. But just so that it makes it easier, it's generally good practice to keep that new line. Right, so that's your conditional statements. Now, you're probably realizing, oh, you wanted to check that multiple times, right? Yes, I did. So this is where you get iterative statements coming in. So your iterative statements, um, they allow you to just loop, basically. That's what iteration is, it's looping. Um, so what we're going to want to do is, there are two kinds of loops. You have a for loop and a while loop. So let's start with while first, just because it kind of links to the if. It basically says, while a statement that you put into it is true, so while whatever condition you give it is true, do the code that's below it. For example, you could say while um, uh, while true. Just tab this across using Control and the close square bracket. Um, while true, and now this will just loop infinitely, right? So Brad, I'm 20. Cool. Joe, he's 17, and Billy, he's 12, right? So I'm 20, so I can both drink and smoke. Joe, 17, so he can't drink, but he can smoke. And Billy's 12, he can't do either, right? It will just carry on going and going and going, which is great if that's what you want to do. But at some point in your program, you're going to want to break it. You're going to want to say, no, don't do this again. So then, just to show you this doesn't work. In fact, let's just say loop loop equals true. So while loop, so while this thing is true, yeah, then do this code. And but if loop would suddenly become false, then it would stop. So let's just put it in the drink and smoke. So let's just say that loop equals false. I'll have to run this now. What's your name? So got Billy, he's 13. Okay. So we've got another loop because he isn't over the age of 18. We do Joe, 17. Again, he isn't old enough, so it loops again. Now if we say Brad, 20, cool, I can do both, and it ends, it breaks out of that loop. Right? So you can do a lot more imaginative stuff with it than this. So you could say that while age is less than a certain value, then do this, or there's loads of things you could try. And this is quite often what you can do when you're trying to get data of a particular type. But more on that later on in this video. So right, the other kind is you have a for loop. Um, so what this is, in fact, I'm going to get rid of this for now. As well as that, we don't really need that. So what we're going to want to do is we're actually going to want to say, maybe just do it a certain number of times. In fact, no. So while loop, so we want to do this, and then we want to say we're going to want to just do something. So let's say we wanted to I don't know, for every letter in the name, also for every year that they've been alive, we want to say happy birthday. So we could say if um, age is less than 100, print happy birthday, not birthday, birthday. Now you could also then say if age is less than 99, print, I'm just going to copy this code, print happy birthday. Copy that, 98, 97, you can probably see where this is going, right? And it's going to get big. And also, if they're older than the age of 100, this ain't going to do anything. Um, so, where did this one? Greater than 1, greater than 2, etc. But you can see where I was going. Right, so as you could check every single age and do something, but that isn't ideal. You don't want to be doing that. What you can do instead is you can use a for loop. So the way you write that is like the general formula for writing it is for a variable that you're just going to be creating, just for use within the loop. So for I in, right, so that's basically saying for this variable in this list, okay, or inside of this thing that you can iterate over. So that could be a string, that could be a list, a tuple array, a set. I think you can do it with. So any container basically. So for I in, you want to say for I in age, right? So for however old it is, but for however old that person is, but that doesn't really work. Right? What you need to actually do is you need to say that you want a range of values between 0 and their age. Okay, so for I in range, which is like a keyword. So for I in range age, because it defaults the start at 0, and this is the first thing you put in as age. Sorry, the end. Um, so for I in range age, um, then we're going to say happy birthday. Wonderful. Now you can actually use that there, right? Um, you can use that I value at some like however many times you want. So you could say, I don't know, just put it here at the beginning. Now you're going to see something, and you're going to be like, this doesn't seem right, or this is going to be annoying. So, what is your name? Brad. I'm Tony. It says happy birthday twice. You see, it starts at 0. That's because, like I said, with like lists, um, everything starts at 0. So what you can do is you can, if you wanted to, say start at 1, end at age plus 1. It works. You know, it's a hot fix, um, but it isn't ideal. Right? So it does work. It's a hot fix, but in certain cases where like you're listing over, where you're going over like a list of items in an array, that isn't going to cut it. Because then you'll miss the first thing, and you'll miss the first item, and go too far, make an error happen. So usually, what is generally better is just say I plus 1, and then that works. Um, See now, this is something that I'm going to come to in a bit. If you enter the wrong data, if you try to cast data the wrong way, you get errors. Now there is a way to do that, like to deal with that, and that is another kind of statement, but I'll show you that in a bit. So let's close that out, rerun this. So, Brad, I'm 20, it does what we want. You can iterate over any form of list. Right, which is what this is doing. This is just creating a list. So you can also list over um, dictionaries and lists, and you just do it in the exact same way. So you just say for the variable that you want to give it, like the name you want to give the item that you're currently on in a container, do a thing, basically. That's the most simple way I can think of it. Now, with dictionaries, there's more ways that you can do it because they're a more complex kind of list or container because they have key and value. Um, but effectively, that's all you need. Um, you can also list over, there's this thing called generators, which are just, they're confusing for me at any rate. But yeah. Now, one thing you're going to want to do is you're also going to want to quit out of out of a loop. So we're going to say if the input of do you want to quit y n equal to y, then what you can do is a thing called a break, and that breaks out of the function. It basically says, get out. I don't want to be inside this code anymore. And just to show that, print bye, or bye world, I suppose. Um, So that basically allows you at any point to break out of the program or break out of this loop. Now you can use this a lot more imaginatively than just saying, do you want to quit? So quite often you could use it if a condition is met that is outside of the scope of this, or if you were in a for loop and you didn't want it to go too far, but you also didn't want it to be limited by how small something was. So say you only wanted a maximum of 18 happy birthdays, because every birthday after that is so important, right? Then you could just say if I is, or if I plus 1, just so you can look at it as like an actual age, um, you could say that if it's less than or equal to 18, do this code, else break. Let's just run this. Brad, 20, and I do want to quit. But I don't want to quit this time. Okay, so it loops again. Now, if I was to say Annabelle, and she's only like 2, just so I don't get lost in loads of lines. Do you want to quit? Yes, I do. It just says bye world and closes because I said yes. I matched this if, so it wanted the input to be equal to yes or the capital Y. I gave it that input, so it broke out of the loop. Now, like I said before, and like I'll show you quickly. So Brad, Brad, and if I say 20 in letters, it doesn't like that. It gives you an error. So what you can do is you can actually a thing called error handling. So error handling is just a nice way of saying of catching wrong inputs or wrong wrong data causing major issues or causing your program to shut down on you. So what you do is the thing that you think might break. In fact, it's always good at practice just to put this around whole bunches of code that could potentially go wrong. That's all related. In this case, it's just my age that is going to go wrong. Anything else, it isn't going to be affected because this is just a standard string input, and this will only accept a string input. This here, age, will be a number by the time we're done, because that's what we're trying to cast it to. And print, well, that's just printing a string, and it's definitely going to be a string. The only issue I suppose we could get is if I plus 1 wasn't a number. But again, I is something that we know is going to be a number. The same here. It's asking for a string, it's comparing it to a string, it's just going to break. It can do all of that. So we're going to put it around this. What you do is you just say try to do some code. If you get an error, so except, if you get any error at all, do this. We're going to want to print there was an issue with the page entered. Please try again. Now, on the next line, I'm going to type in continue. What this does is, this is something that's linked to the looping. Okay, it's about iteration. But I didn't have a good way to show you it before. So continue just allows you to um, it allows you to break out of this iteration, but remain within the loop. All right? So it means that skip this because none of this will work now. But I still want to actually continue the program. So rather than breaking out of it, we're actually just going to continue on the looping cycle. Not continue on this one, but on the looping cycle. So if I was to run this, just say, I'm Brad, I'm 20. Oh, there was an issue with the age you entered. Please try again. Okay, I'm Brad, I'm 20. It worked. I can now break out of the program. Wonderful. So that is it for this video. Like I said, there are more complicated things you can do if you wanted to, such as you can actually say what kind of error you want. So you actually want to catch value errors, and you can have multiple of these. And again, except well, and then this will also work. So if for any reason this caught anything that wasn't a value error, which is what this would give you, then it will just break out the program without doing anything. It will just shut down. Or through a break out of the loop, which is where it's experiencing issues. So yeah, that's it for this video. So in the next one, I'll go over functions. So creating things like this, not as complicated, just because for the scope of this series, it isn't really important that you can create an input for yourself. And I'm not even sure how possible that actually is. But just the idea of it, and also about things called the generators that are another thing that you can loop through. With that being said, if you like this video, please be sure to hit the thumbs up button. If you haven't already, click on the subscribe button and the notification bell next to it to keep up to date on my uploads. And if you missed any of the previous videos in this series, then I'll leave a button in the like a link in the top right corner, just up here, with a link to the playlist so you can watch from start to finish. So enjoy the rest of your day and peace out.